Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for another video. Plenty of Manchester United news to get into today, and we want your opinion, so get involved in the chat and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. But before we start, how is your hand? You was doing a bit of gardening this morning, and when I walked into yours, all I was hearing was, ow, my hand, it's hurting.
I was screaming, I must admit, I was screaming. I smashed my thumb and all hell broke loose. But hey, I'm here, I'm holding the mic, and I'm ready to carry on. Soldier on, that's what I say.
Yeah. Well, at least we've not had to put you on gardening leave like Dan Ashworth, so at least we're here to get a video done. But yeah, I'm sure you've all seen the reports over the last 24 hours from the Telegraph, and I'm going to get straight into this. And it says MUFC prepared to listen to offers for the majority of the first team squad, bar rising stars like Man Utd, Garnacho and Højlund. MUFC are ready to adopt an ultra-flexible approach to the window, won't actively look to sell the likes of Rashford, but will give it real consideration to offers.
Well, I think this is the calm before the storm. If you think things have been bad on the pitch, off the pitch, this is the calm. It's going to be carnage. Now, I've got to look at this in its entirety. Going to take a few minutes, this, but I'm telling you now, as I see it, player power is now come to an end at Manchester United. So Jim Ratcliffe has come in here, swept behind the scenes, the deadwood. He's now telling these players, listen, I'm sick of it. We're all sick of it, and it's going to change. And I think what's gone on, I've got to tell you straight, this is my opinion. I think what's gone on, Erik Ten Hag has been part of the conversations, and this is why this has come out. And this is probably what's been going on with these players, that management have been telling them, this is the end of player power. Now, to me, I look back here, Ralph Rangnick summed it up. Ralph Rangnick summed it up, and now we've got action, and it's the calm before the storm.
You're talking about that famous interview, aren't you? Open heart surgery is needed here at Manchester United, and possibly this summer is when it actually starts. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think it starts this summer. I think all players, offers, every player, if there's an offer, they're going to look at it and take it if it's the right money. And these players have been told that their futures aren't certain. Players strutting around thinking they can get away with things. It's not on. Erik Ten Hag has tried to get discipline behind the scenes. He's not had the people helping him. But now Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come in. He's putting the right people in there. Things are being done. And these players now have to earn the money or they're out. It's as simple as that. And all these players have been told, if an offer comes in, you're off. And that's it. And that is the way it should be. But there will be carnage.
He did say after the Burnley game, Ten Hag in his press conference, that as fans we need patience, and with the likes of Højlund, Garnacho and Man Utd, they're going to need the first team experience with it being the first season in the Premier League. Do you think a lot of fans out there have got the patience to wait until this actually progresses and we see progression on the pitch?
They've got to have patience, because this is what the fans demanded. The fans demanded no more player power. It needs to end. We need a structure. We need proper transfers, proper people in place. You're now getting it, but it will take time. So you've got what you wanted. I've got what I wanted, and I'm going to have to suck it up. If it is more carnage, I expect it to be more carnage. But this is what is needed, and it's been needed for years. Players have walked in here, get a contract, then try and get a longer contract, and then just think they can waltz in. I look at Erik Ten Hag in his comments, and they've sounded strange. They don't sound strange anymore with this coming out. Erik Ten Hag is right there, working along with Ineos to sort out what's coming in the summer. And this, to me, this sums it up.
I do remember, I think I've mentioned it before, I always remember around about January, he was fearful about going into the end of the season, the remaining games, seeing limp performances, individual performances as well. But you put that down to thinking that a lot of these players would have been told they weren't going to be needed after this season. And do you still think that? Do you think there has been conversations with certain players basically saying, in the summer, you will be available for transfer?
I think the whole squad has been told they're available for transfer, and the next few games and even the cup final, I think some of these players will not put it in. I think they're quite happy, some of them, not all of them, some of them, on the amount of wages, what they're getting, and they won't even consider going anywhere. And that's the big problem, what Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have got with these players. They've got the wages, they've got certain power, but at the end of the day, there's a structure, it's being changed, and it will take time for some of these players to be moved on if they just sit there and collect the wages. And lots of players have done that and really took the mick out of us all, to be honest.
Yeah, just going to dive into the chat. Get your thoughts and opinions in. I can see it already popping off. We'll try and discuss them throughout today's video. Johnny C says, it's not easy to move players on with the high wages without losing lots of money and therefore reduce our transfer budget. But we have got some players in that squad where we would be able to keep 100% of the transfer fee with FFP because of being homegrown players.
Yeah, with FFP, I think everything... People, United spending money and the limits and everything. I think they're discussing it now, going to change it next year. Very complicated. Very complicated to understand. Even the experts haven't got their heads around it yet. Nothing's set in stone yet. But we have to sell to buy. That's the way it is. Jim Ratcliffe, Ineos, they're now doing right behind the scenes, cost cutting everywhere. Players like Greenwood, they'll be sold. Sancho will be sold. Donny van der Beek will be sold. That's what they want. But will they get the money for him? Some of these players might just end up out on loan. That's the way it is, because people will not pay high fees for these players and then big wages. So there is a big problem. And as I said at the beginning, it's carnage. And I think the carnage is going to come and we're just going to have to suck it up. But it is exactly what we want. People behind the scenes, in the right places, in power, doing the right things for the long term of Manchester United. Erik Ten Hag, I look at him, I think he's working. I think he's working alongside them all. And I also think that he may stay for another year. He may also get sacked in the summer. So you just don't know. They might look at Erik Ten Hag and say, you're here for another year, work with us and all that. Let's see where we go. That might be there, or they might have already decided to get rid of him. But Erik Ten Hag is working with comments like, out you go, offers, everything else like that. He's talked about a while ago, didn't he, about the summer transfers. He's working on the summer transfers. So I think he's known for a while that any offers what come in for players will be considered. So everything's up for grabs. And Erik Ten Hag is part of what's going on. That's my belief, my opinion.
Do you think he looks worried or sounds worried, Erik Ten Hag, about the summer when listening to his press conference in terms of recruitment and getting players in?
I think the last 4 press conferences he's just come out robust. And like I said before, sometimes he's not making sense, but things are getting clearer, making sense. He's robust now. He's acting as though, I'm here. This is what's going to happen. I think we're going to turn it round. Players like this, players like that. He's part of the structure now. So I think he's been very robust. And United fans, me included, I've took him not in the right spirit, but we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know this squad has been told any offers come in will be considered. So to me, he's acting as though he's here for the long term. And I have said in a few videos that I believe Erik Ten Hag believes he's staying here.
Yeah, when you're looking at our players, though, with a lot of underperformance this season, high wages as well, there's not going to be that many clubs out there, top clubs, that are going to be really, making some of our players their number one targets in the transfer window. Or do you see it differently?
I see it differently because it's all about value. And what value are some of these players worth? I think when you look at Rashford, for instance, what's his value? It's not 100 million. It's not 60, 70 million, not on the form he's at. So you just look at Rashford and just equate really what's the value there. And then you look at other players, Eriksen, what's the value of Eriksen? Is it 5, is it 10 million just to get him off the books? I think that's the way United will go. They'll have to sell to buy. He's cost-cutting Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I don't think he's going to dip into his pockets massively. Yes, there will be 1 or 2 buys, and then the rest will be supplemented by the people what sell. So I think you'll get good money for Greenwood. You might get some money for Sancho. I'm not too sure on it, to be honest with you, because what's the value
Yeah.
and the high wages? So there is problems going around. What's going to happen? Wan-Bissaka, there's rumours there about sales.
Yeah.
They might get a decent price for him because he's a great defender. He just needs working on going forward. So there's lots of options.
I can't see any more of this, though, in the summer and going forward now of like this kind of like boom and bust, spending high on transfer fees and players just underperforming. I think they will be looking at recruiting a lot of young players or players that are relatively unknown to the wider public and getting them in for smaller transfer fees to then actually, produce them and kick them on.
Well, if you listen to, if you go back to what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said when he arrived, boom and bust is over. It's over. And I just can't see. We'll develop our own players, he said. That's what he said. There's no more Galacticos going out there buying them. Them days are over. Like say, boom and bust. We'll develop our own Galacticos. So you can see what's coming out and you can see the way he's going, right? Keep the money. Let's develop and let's get rid of the deadwood. And there is some deadwood here and he knows it.
Do you expect us to see more of these younger lads in the academy being brought up into the first team next season?
I think maybe in about a year, 18 months, you'll see some of these academy players. The under-18s there are doing fantastically well. And I think what they'll do, they'll sort of move up gradually. I think what needed is a few, 2-3 players. I've said it before, centre-half, centre-forward, and maybe another midfielder or 2 centre-halves, what come in, depending on what we're able to sell. So I think that they'll budget for that. But these young academy players, I think another 12, 18 months, while this carnage will go on, and it will be carnage, I don't think it's right that young players should come straight into this and develop. Yes, we've got Man Utd in there, we've got Garnacho, we've got Ireland in there. People like that, I think, are already cemented into the first team squad, and they will develop as time goes on.
Yeah, we've been talking about the younger ones, obviously Man Utd, Ireland and Garnacho. They've been carrying a lot of they've been carrying the team for most games this season and putting the older heads, the experienced heads, into the shadows, haven't they? They've been carrying them.
They're learning. They're learning. And
learning the hard way as well.
They're learning the hard way, and it's not working out. If you look at Hoyland, his stats are well off it. He's not getting fed from the midfield. He's not getting fed from the wingers. He had a run of goals and that, which was great. Injured, come back. Things just aren't working at the moment, but that happens with young players. So you can't go down on Hoyland for not scoring goals and not being given the ball. Garnacho, he's learning. He's got a lot to learn. But
why has it not actually worked out that, we're coming to the end of the season now, and it's still not been working out in terms of supplying Hoyland as our centre forward? Surely Erik Ten Hag and the recruitment staff knew what they were getting when they first bought Hoyland, and they've been working on the training ground ever since, and it just doesn't seem to click with our wide players and our midfield with Hoyland.
Listen, it's a big burden to carry for a young player, but the experienced players in there just aren't performing. They don't perform as a team. We all know that. You constantly tell us it's not a team, and it isn't a team. It's individuals. But the thing is, the management now, what are in there, they can see it's not a team because of the player power, what's going on. These clicks in that changing room always have been. If you go back to Pogba, Lingard, well before all that, Mkhitaryan, there's loads there. There's loads there where it's fractured. Yeah, it is not a professional outfit in that changing room. People have just come for the money and they've just ripped United off and not put the effort in. There's not many players what United have bought and then gone elsewhere and performed to the high standard. Very, very few.
Yeah, and Gail in the chat says, I want us to develop our own talent. We need to buy some experienced players who have been there, done that. The second problem is we're losing our appeal as a club. Whoever we develop will have the Madrid aspirations. Do you see that?
No, listen, Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to develop the youngsters, but that has got the danger written all over it. We just might fade and not even be able to challenge for a place in Europe. This is the problem going forward. Yeah. But if that's the structure, that's what we wanted. We wanted players out and we wanted change. And the change, when it comes, we have to suck it up and accept it, that it's changed for the better. Everything what's gone before, okay, and bringing youngsters through, that's fine. But it's got to be added with good quality players who want to play for Man United. And that structure is in the background. So Jim Ratcliffe is bringing the right people in to identify, but it's not done overnight. So we're getting what we wanted, okay? And it could be painful, but we have to accept it and enjoy the ride, because with a bit of luck, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, with his team, will get us there, but it might take a few years. He believes it's going to be 3 years. But for now, keep them youngsters, the main youngsters, what are coming through, out of it. That's how I see it. And then bring them in 12, 18 months.
I know there's been mentions, obviously, of Garnacho, Højlund and Mainoo, but I'd also add that Willy Kambwala in there as well, mate. When I've listened to his interviews, he's just literally mad for Man United.
Yeah, he's mad for Man United.
He wants to play for United. You can see he gets it as well, being a young lad.
He's got an upbeat attitude and that. So I think being around other young players and that, I think they'd enjoy him and that. And they have enjoyed him because he has done well to get where he is now. But the problem is with United, we need something solid, okay? He's still learning his trade. And it's just like Mainoo. Mainoo's still learning his trade. His game has gone off over the last few weeks. He's been exposed because of the people, what he's had with him, like Eriksen and that. They've gone and left themselves exposed. So he's not had the game. We know he can have Mainoo. So he's faltering a little bit. And it's the end of the year. People are getting tired and people are just playing as individuals. So Kambwala, right, good player, like him. But let's just take it easy and let's not overhype him. He needs time to come into this.
Yeah, good point on Højlund, who was discussing earlier. Dan Fenton says, it's not just Højlund, we've got no other striker, and that's why Højlund's been struggling. And he's been the only striker, hasn't he?
Well, that's the problem. I mean? He's been forced into it. With the high price paid for him, the pressure is on him. But I just hope that high price, he doesn't worry about it. Højlund's here for the future, and he just needs time, and he needs players around him to help him, and he needs to come into the team and then be taken out. But that's not been the case. Only injuries have forced him out. The only striker. That's how bad it is at Manchester United.
Yeah, there's plenty of people getting involved in the chat. Keep getting your comments and opinions in, and we'll discuss them throughout today's video. Bob Nance says, let's get rid of these deadbeats inside the club. People are also saying about a culture change. That's the priority in getting things changed in the summer. Yeah,
well, if you look at Erik Ten Hag, it's not just the summer. When the moment Erik Ten Hag walks in here, he said there will be a culture change. That was part of his remit. That was part of his remit to come in here, and straight away he had to deal with Ronaldo and many, many, many other things. And he's tried to be strict. He's tried to get standards back. It's been very difficult because of the player power. Now, this player power, they've been told. They might have been told a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. To me, it looks like they were told a couple of months ago. And I believe when Brailsford went to Carrington and he spoke to all the squad and that, I think that's when it was. They got told this player power has gone. So standards have got to change. They've been told. And, listen, there's a ride to be had here, and it's going to go like that, the ride. And I can't wait, to be honest, because it has to change, and we have to take whatever comes until it gets right.
You did say earlier on about Erik Ten Hag, in your opinion, being robust in his press conferences, honest as well. And I just want to take you back and get your opinion on this. And this was his press conference before the Burnley game. Now, Erik Ten Hag said that Manchester United can't compete for the Premier League title or finish second next season. And he said, when everyone is available, we're competing for the top 4. We're not in the position to compete for number 1 or 2.
See, that makes sense now, because he knows what's coming. He's part of the process, part of the dealings inside Man United about what's happening this summer, about player power, removing players, bringing players in. He knows his limitations already because the structure is already there. United know what they're going to buy, how much money they've got to spend, players moving on, players staying, players they know they can't get rid of. So they know they're not in a position. Erik Ten Hag knows going into next season, there's no big spending. The boom and bust areas are over, as we keep saying, right? So he knows the squad he's going to have, or the type of squad, and it won't be strong enough to compete. Now, what's come out the last couple of days, right, makes that more sensible, that conversation he had before the Burnley game. He's telling us something we didn't know. Now, the two mixed together, the news about every player is available for sale if offers come in. That makes sense, clear sense to me. I hope it does to you.
But as a fan, though, if you're listening to them comments about look at next season, our manager actually thinks we're just going to be challenging to try and get in a top 4 place. It don't fill you with excitement then looking forward to next season.
No, he's being realistic. That's what he's being. I think it's the disappointment of what we've suffered, and we have suffered for years now. But the reality is, right, it's not going to happen no matter who the manager is. Who the manager is. That manager is not going to be given £1.5 billion to bring in the players, okay? There's a structure, and that structure is worked over time. And that's what they're going to be working with. So it doesn't really matter who the manager is at this moment in time. There's a structure being put in place and everyone knows where they are in that structure.
A lot of people mentioning Bruno Fernandes in the chat. What's your thoughts on Bruno?
Listen, if them claims are true about all players, any offer comes in, they're off. That's the way it is. That is the way it is. Listen, he's been here, he's doing well, then he's having poor games, and then he's in and out, and then he's doing well, okay? But at the end of the day, if an offer comes in, he's off. And these players, they might even be looking to get off anyway.
I think this team's a lot poorer without Bruno Fernandes in it, though.
Yeah, but this team won't be this team in 18 months' time. That's what you've got to look at.
Fair point.
So you have to look at, can we get some value out of some players? Because the whole team, the way it's built, the way it attacks, the way it defends, the midfield, everything, the structure, the style. So Jim Ratcliffe wants the style, the Man United style. How he sees that style, we'll soon find out. But at the end of the day, this team is going to change. And if there's a decent offer on the table, then take it, because we're in a rebuild, okay? To me, it looks like a sensible rebuild, the way they're going at it. So any player like Bruno and that, regardless of your feelings, whether he's a great player, a good player, or you don't like him, sensible offer comes in, quite rightly, take it, because we're on the change here.
Yeah, a lot of people mentioning Luke Shaw as well.
Yep. Same as, at the end of the day, Luke Shaw's been here a long time, like a few others, and at the end of the day, move him on if an offer comes in. I am not going to turn around, right, and say, oh, I want him out, I want him out. If offers come in, and the people in charge will accept that offer, then that's fine. And whoever comes in, comes in. There is change, and I'm accepting the change, and I'm also accepting the dangers of the change, and I'm only hoping that it's short term.
Whoever you actually get rid of then in the summer, the recruitment's got to be bang on, that you're bringing in people more capable than the people you're letting go.
That's the most important thing here. It's the recruitment, how fast it comes in, what can be available, what can we get in. That's what it's all about. They are looking and concentrating on the recruitment, okay? Yeah. Sprinkled with a few youngsters in it. Now, we've got youngsters in it already. Is it 3, 4, 5 players to come over the next 6, 12 months? I don't know. There are some players what will be staying. I don't know who they are, because, you just don't know if they'll fit in. But it's the recruitment, what they're going to firmly target. And that's what we all must look at, bringing in the players.
Danny Blackburn says, effort, passion and desire is all we want. Play for the honour of the shirt. Some players are disrespecting it, in my opinion.
Most players are disrespecting it at times because they're not getting it together. They're not firm. They're not firm in the dressing room. There's groups in the dressing room. There's groups at the change at Carrington. Then this isn't a group. So a lot of players are disrespecting what goes on at Manchester. The professionalism from a lot of these players throughout the club, doesn't matter just on the pitch on a match day. It's behind the scenes, and everything else is so poor. The attitude is poor, and it just seeps through. The virus is there, and it's been there for many years, and this virus needs removing. I keep referring to the virus, but it's there. It's clear as daylight that there's a virus, and there's players what don't get on with each other. Because if they got on with each other, you would see that fight, you would see that commitment on the pitch, okay? You would see a team work together, and you don't see a team work together They work as individuals, and some players are hoping that another player can turn it on and just get that goal or do the job for someone else. So at the end of the day, the virus has to go.
Yeah, Ant Gale says, it's a good one as well. I can't wait for the summer and 8 weeks of negotiations to sign one player. And I think all eyes will be on Ineos this summer as well, won't they, to see how they actually conduct business and how early we actually get players in. Because, like he says, how many times we've been having a summer transfer window just drag on for 1 or 2 players, always getting people late on in the transfer window and just paying through the roof for transfers.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll see that. I think they'll already be targeting players. That's how it's looking to me. You know, you mentioned Erik Ten Hag talking on press conferences and that. I think they're already building up to that, and also letting the general public know what's going on and what's happening with these players, that any offer is available. So they're already looking, and I think the people behind the scenes are a lot better, a lot more professional than what we've had. We've had Arnold, Murto in there for years, and there's still other people in there, and they're just getting slung. I think when you look at the scouting department and everything else like that, I think it's all changed, and they've already looked at it. I think soon as Sir Jim Ratcliffe walked in here, he knew what was needed, and it was a clear out and bring it in and target some players, and they've got on with it. There's still a few things to do, right? But this summer, every day is going to be interesting, but it's difficult to bring players in because we'll have a lot of players out on the Euros and that. So if any of these players are targeted, let's hope that they've already spoke to agents and they're ready to jump in.
Yeah, Gareth says the Euros are going to make things hard, especially as United are useless at buying and selling.
Yeah, United have been useless in the past, but what you have to look at is this new regime. They're already planning for it, and Erik Ten Hag, and I keep going on about it, Erik Ten Hag has consistently said, right, he's working on the transfers and he's working with the people what Ineos have brought in, and they've been looking at it.
Some people might say that they might not be too happy with Erik Ten Hag working on the transfers again. Some of them out there might say a lot of the transfers that he's brought in underneath him haven't been good enough and not lived up to the reputation. So is it a case of maybe waiting until the likes of you, Dan Ashworth, do come in and to have more of an input and a final say? Because maybe Erik Ten Hag does need that. Well, no, Erik, you can't have that player. You know, we've got another player here for you if you still want him, kind of thing.
Listen, I think the structure of the way players have been bought.
Just go Erik Ten Hag, and he's the coach. Go and coach the players on the coaching field, and we'll have the final say on transfers. And this is the recruitment we're bringing in to give you.
That might be the case. That might be the case. You know, if you look at some of Erik Ten Hag's transfers, what he's brought in, you know, they haven't lived up to the hype. And there's quite a few, you know, let's just say Anthony, for instance, 80-odd million, you know, his goal return has been poor. His passing, his crossing, and we mentioned Ireland before, has been poor. So that has to change. But he might have to change, Erik Ten Hag. His role might be changing. Now, if you look at what's happening, and someone mentioned it before, and we did discuss it, what's happening with the younger players, the under-18s and below, they're all doing well, they're achieving and all that. Is that down to Erik Ten Hag and his staff helping the people what were already there and moving some of the people out? We've seen people in the background for quite a while now move out of them departments. So Erik Ten Hag might be right on it and might be coaching and might be working along. So things might be working for Erik Ten Hag, and Ineos might see that. So his role might change, and they might have to go with Erik Ten Hag while we have this almighty clear out and change in the summer, because it would seem to me to bring in a new manager into this chaos would only add to more chaos. That's how I see it, unless they've been talking to a manager for a long, long time, what we don't know about.
Yeah, a lot of people, to be fair, in the chat are actually questioning whether Erik Ten Hag will still be here next season. Some people are mentioning if he'll be here just after the FA Cup, but whether we win it or we lose it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still not really decided on what I think will actually happen, but let me know out there what you think, because I'm still unsure. I
think what it is, it's a personal preference now, based on Erik Ten Hag, his comments and all that. But like, I try to put things into context. You know, I've just tried with his Burnley pre-match talking about, and then seeing what's going on now. So I'm trying to put things into context. But if you actually look at the football, you know it's not good. It's disorganised, the tactics and everything else like that. It doesn't look right. But I'm saying for Erik Ten Hag, I'm backing Erik Ten Hag for another year because of the carnage and the chaos, what's gone on since day one. I'd like him to stay to see if he can turn it round. But I don't see bringing in a new manager would help at this moment while everything's changing. He won't be able to achieve. We've been told for a reason why we won't challenge for a Champions League, for the league or anything like that, because players are going to go and it's carnage and we're just in the middle of a massive upheaval. People have got their opinions on Erik Ten Hag based on what they're seeing and what they're hearing. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, okay? And then there's other people saying, give him another year and all that. But your opinion, my opinion, Kieron's opinion, might not matter. That decision, and I keep saying this, might have already been made. And Erik Ten Hag's working with Ineos now to sort out what goes on in the summer and may walk, because Ineos might have already decided when they come in to bring in another manager, and they might be talking to that manager and talking to him for quite a while.
Has Graham Potter got a job yet? Because I tell you what, there'll be some head loss if he gets approached, or even waistcoat for England.
Well, if there's a manager,
I'm telling you, there'll be absolute head loss, especially on this channel. I know they will. Yeah, I think with both of us as well.
Yeah, I think people look at Potter, look at Southgate, and they've got very, very strong opinions about him. So it won't go down well initially, but at the end of the day, no matter who comes in, if the manager is removed, Erik Ten Hag, and a new manager sits in place, we have to back him, just like we have to back the player power revolt, getting rid of it, the change what's going on. Yeah. We have to back it. There's a process. We all know the virus has been there and it has to go, and we have to accept. It's going to be difficult to watch, going to be difficult to try and work out what's really going on, but that's what's needed. Pure chaos. Get him out and then just change everything. And if a manager comes in, so be it. You have to get behind him. Just like players who you don't like, okay? When they go out on the pitch, you back them out on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm going to end it on that. Some good comments there to finish us off with. I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us in today's chat. It's been absolutely popping off. Loads of different opinions, and that's why we do this as well, to get a load of different opinions in there. Sometimes we actually might nick a few as well for our own sometimes.
We've been known to do that a few times, trust me.
Yeah, that's why we love this community, some proper top opinions in there. But just like to thank everyone again. You know, if you've enjoyed the video, you want to help support us, smash that like button. We're on the march to 70,000 subscribers as well. Be a massive achievement if we can get there before the end of the season. So spread the word, and hopefully we'll get there by the end of that Premier League season, yeah? Yep,
well, I'm looking forward to it all. Carnage, chaos, even the calm bits.
Yeah, more chaos I think you want, though, to be fair. But yeah, enjoy the day, everyone, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.